The views and opinions expressed on the Veterans in Politics show and podcast are those of the guests and hosts and do not necessarily reflect those of Vegas All Night Radio, its affiliates, or its parent company.
Well, we're back. This is Steve Sanson and Jim Jonas with Veterans in Politics. Hey, how you doing, Jim?
Oh, I'm doing great. Glad to be back in studio with you this week. Last week you left me all by myself.
Yeah, well, I left you with two North Las Vegas judicial candidates. So we have MacArthur and Kalani who?
Yep.
Yeah, I listened to the archives. You guys was chatting it up a little bit.
Yeah, both of them. Sometimes you get judicial candidates on, and they're not too chatty, but both those gentlemen were. So it was a good hour.
And you got
pretty interesting.
You got both of them to show up at the same time. That was interesting.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. I tried to get them to mix it up a little bit, but they both stayed above the fray. Now they didn't really want to get into it too much. So
well, we have a special 2-hour show today, and it's jam-packed. First, we're going to have the first hour. We're going to have William Bill Jansen, who's the Las Vegas Township Justice of the Peace, and then we're going to have Patrick Sparger, who's a Project 150 Executive Vice President. He deals with those homeless youths. And then halftime is like football, like the Super Bowl. We're going to have Robert Kurth, candidate for Las Vegas Township Justice of the Peace, Department 5. And then for the second hour, we're going to go with Dr. Stephen Frye, Democrat candidate for Nevada Congressional District 3, and Chris Rasmussen, who's a candidate for Clark County District Court, Department 20. So pretty busy.
Yeah, it's a packed show.
Pretty busy. But I would like to there's a 14-year-old girl that's going on emergency surgery right now. Her name is Andriana Bingelli, Bingelli. Did I pronounce that correctly?
I believe that.
Andrew Haynes' stepdaughter, and we wish her a speedy recovery, and hope that she leaves the hospital very, very quickly. You have nothing to say?
Well, about the only thing I have to say this week is I just want to. I know you'll speak about this as well, but I just really want to thank everybody that came out last Saturday.
Yeah, for the ball.
For the ball. It went off very well. I thought it was a very successful event, so I just want to extend things out to everybody that showed up and participated. We had a lot of fun. And I want to give a special thanks to Congresswoman Shelley Berkeley for flying straight from Washington, D.C., going straight to the plaza and then speaking. That was very nice of her. So
yes, and we did have a constable, Jordan Ross, who drove in from Laughlin to attend the ball as well. But, we had about a dozen judges there from Henderson Municipality, Las Vegas Justice Court, and District Court. And I believe North Las Vegas, I'm not positive, but I know we had a dozen judges there. We had several folks from the legislature that was there as well. And it was a very interesting ball, over 150 people. I know there was a lot of North Las Vegas City Council persons there.
Yes.
So it was good. I enjoyed it, and I, too, like to thank everybody that showed up to the ball as well. But without further ado, you know that a press release was sent out a couple days ago against the current sheriff of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, and what sparked this press release was because of Henderson Police Chief Jada Chambers was asked to resign.
Correct. To
step down from being the Henderson Police Chief. So this is what sparked the press release in protest against Sheriff Gillespie. And you know what? And I want to read the press release that was sent out real quick. In 2011, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department officers shot and killed 12 civilians, ranked third in police shootings, below two cities with 9 times the population, Los Angeles and New York City. Several police shootings have sparked community outrage in several cases. Eric Scott, an Army officer veteran, was shot dead by 7 hollow point .45 rounds in front of his girlfriend in the daylight hours at Costco in Summerlin after he allegedly failed to comply with conflicting commands from officers on the scene. Scott had a concealed weapons permit and his gun was in his holster while he bled to death on the pavement of the Costco entrance. The incident was recorded by Costco video surveillance, but the footage has mysteriously disappeared. Trevon Cole, a former UNLV linebacker, was killed by Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department officer Brian Yent while executing a search warrant. Officer Yent shot Cole in the face with an AR-15 while Cole was leaning over a toilet, unarmed, in front of his pregnant fiancée. Later, it was revealed that Officer Yent falsified information to obtain the search warrant and falsified a police report of the shooting. His description of the events was contradicted by the medical examiner's report, the reports of the other officers on the scene, and the testimony from other officers during the coroner's inquest. After asking for the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Sheriff Douglas Gillespie's resignation in December by press release and on several news and radio television shows, we invited Gillespie to be on our radio show, the Veterans in Politics Talk Show on KLAV and VANR. Sheriff Gillespie appeared on our talk show on January 28, 2012 in full uniform with his undersheriff, James Dixon. We found this to be unusual because on 3 prior occasions, Sheriff Gillespie appeared on our show by himself in civilian attire. When asked why Officer Yent has not been charged with murder, we were told that Yent is assigned to a desk. He is still allowed to carry a weapon and is still being paid by taxpayers' dollars. Gillespie added no further investigation is needed because the coroner's inquest found Yent's actions justified, despite contradicting testimony from the coroner and his fellow officers on the scene. Notably, the coroner's inquest was held while former District Attorney David Roger, whose duties included investigating police shootings by Metropolitan police officers, was negotiating for a job with Chris Collins, Executive Director of the Police Protective Association. Given Rogers' disturbing brazen conflict of interest, Veterans in Politics filed an ethics complaint against Roger in January and recently received a response from the Ethics Commission requesting that further evidence was needed. Veterans in Politics forwarded additional evidence and requested that the complaint be investigated by a panel of commissioners in pursuant to NAC 281A. In Trevon Cole's federal wrongful death lawsuit against the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, Cole's family was recently awarded $1.7 million, a record settlement amount for Metro, as always will be paid from public funds, but this amount may be eclipsed by the case of Stanley Gibson. Stanley Gibson, an Army Gulf War veteran suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, was killed by Metro officers who shot him in the back of the head with an AR-15 military-style rifle as Gibson sat in his car alone, unarmed, and suffering from a panic attack. Initially, Sheriff Gillespie reported to the public that Gibson was using his vehicle as a weapon to ram police cruisers, and after 29 minutes of negotiations, officers was forced to defend themselves by shooting Gibson. In other words, the typical fashion, Sheriff Gillespie immediately blamed the victim and justified his officer's conduct. Gillespie was not aware that a witness had recorded the entire incident, and the eyewitness video of the event, which was aired by local media, completely contradicted that Gillespie had told the public. The video shows Gibson in the car. Unoccupied police cruisers are parked sideways directly behind his car, directly in front of his car, pinning him in. At one point, Gibson's tires spin and smoked, his car unable to go forward or backward. In other words, it is clear from the video that Gibson's car could not move, much less ram police cruisers, as Sheriff Gillespie initially asserted. After the video was released, Sheriff Gillespie revised the prior statement explaining that the officers on the scene decided to use non-lethal means to detain Gibson. But Officer Jesus Arvelo decided to fire 7 rounds with an AR-15 assault rifle into the back of Gibson's head, killing him instantly. Several officers on the scene later indicated that Officer Arvelo knew the plan to take Gibson alive. Now Officer Arvelo sits at home on paid administrative leave, his salary paid by taxpayers. Later, it was revealed that Gibson was out of anti-anxiety medication and succumbed to a panic attack after unable to find his apartment. He had recently moved and was in a neighboring apartment complex when he was killed by Metro. Gibson's senseless death and Sheriff Gillespie's business-as-usual response sparked public outrage that had long been simmering over Sheriff Gillespie's unwilling or inability to recognize or address systematic problems within his organization, and caused the local chapters of the ACLU and NAACP to request an investigation by Metro by the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice. Sheriff Gillespie's handling of Gibson's death also highlighted a problematic public relations policy, blaming the victim and justifying Metro's actions with statements that are misleading and later proven to be simply false. This is exactly what happened in the case of Calvin Darling, who collided with Metro officer James Manor. Officer Manor was killed in the accident, and Sheriff Gillespie immediately issued a public statement indicating Darling was at fault, was a drunk driver, and struck Officer Manor, causing the collision that killed him. However, the investigation revealed Officer Manor was speeding without lights or sirens and without a seatbelt. Also, it was later learned that Darling was not, in fact, drunk and did not cause the fatal accident. In short, as with Stanley Gibson, Sheriff Gillespie's initial public statement justifies Metro's actions with not only misleading but later proven simply false. Currently, the coroner's inquest has 17 cases awaiting hearing, and it appears that Sheriff Gillespie is holding up the process, refusing to allow any kind of actual inquiry in which Metro officers might be held accountable. But Sheriff Gillespie's problems are not just public. In 2010, while Sheriff Gillespie was running for re-election against Officer Lori Bish, we interviewed Gillespie on KLAV Eye on Nevada radio show. I instructed Sheriff Gillespie that I was told by several Las Vegas Metropolitan police officers that there were 2 separate incidents of domestic violence calls to the sheriff's home address, and that Gillespie told the arriving officers that they could not arrest him. Technically, Gillespie is correct. Under the Nevada revised statutes, only 3 people have the authority to arrest the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department sheriff. That is, the Nevada State Attorney General, the Clark County District Attorney, and the Clark County Coroner. I was also told that Sheriff Gillespie removed the domestic violence calls to his home from the official police scope. When I asked Gillespie about this incident on air, he told me that it didn't happen, but off air, he admitted that it did. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department has its police officers buy their own body armor. Public funds are much better spent on officer safety than as compensation to widows and orphan children in wrongful death lawsuit. And while Gillespie indicates that his officers receives a clothing allowance, that allowance is for dry cleaning of their uniforms only. Sheriff Gillespie indicated on our radio program that leadership starts at the top, that he is electable, and that he will continue to be sheriff in a re-election and refuses to step down. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department is losing their senior officers. Officers on the job are looking at the calendar and counting down the days before their retirement. It's apparent that this sheriff has lacked the leadership, training, and moral compass needed to lead and oversee a competent police force that our citizens can believe in. Henderson is asking for the resignation of its police chief in response to one beating caught on tape. Meanwhile, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department continues to have unacceptable number of police-involved deaths, and the only group that has asked for the sheriff's resignation is the Veterans in Politics International. This is unfortunate. Some elected officials are intimidated and worried about their re-election and refuses to stand up for what's right. Veterans in Politics International is requesting that everyone contact their elected officials and request the resignation of Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Sheriff Douglas C. Gillespie. The Veterans in Politics International mission statement reads in part that in a culture of corruption, to be the political voice in other groups that do not have one. We are doing this because of the good police officers that serve and risk their lives for us every day, and yet do not have a voice within their own police department. This is Steve Sanson with Veterans in Politics with Jim Jonas. Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back with Justice of the Peace, William Jansen.
This public service announcement is brought to you by Veterans in Politics International. The Veterans in Politics mission is to teach, educate, organize, and awaken our veterans and their families to select, support, and vote intelligently for a better world, and to protect ourselves from our own governments and a culture of corruption, and to be the political voice for those in other groups that do not have one.
There are too many homeless veterans, and more help is needed from the VA. Every Veterans Service Organization post should adopt a local homeless veteran.
The funding of VA medical centers is inadequate, and building a VA hospital in southern Nevada is moving at a slow pace. The budget has been flatlined for too many years. The VA is too quick to deny claims and too slow to help veterans gather records in support of claims.
Local politicians ignore veterans and their issues. They perceive a lack of organization among their local veterans and that it won't hurt them at election time. Veterans too often vote party, not veteran issues. All veterans should vote in every election.
The news media give inadequate coverage to veteran issues and events. You must send letters to the editor and voice this concern.
Please contact your members of Congress and Senate and urge them to co-sponsor key legislation in supporting our veterans.
Please support Veterans in Politics. And to get more information, go to www.veteransinpolitics.com.
Well, we're back, folks. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas for Veterans in Politics. We have William Bill Jansen, the Las Vegas Township Justice of the Peace. How you doing today, Judge?
Doing very well.
Judge, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? And Judge, don't go all the way back to birth, please.
No, I'm not going to do that. No. Well, I'm a graduate from Michigan State University School of Criminology. I'm a graduate from Drake University College of Law with a Juris Doctorate degree. I'm a graduate from the FBI Academy and the National Judicial College. I've been in Las Vegas for 45 years. I've been an FBI agent. I was an FBI agent for 24 years, 18 years here in Vegas. I came to Las Vegas in 1967. I retired in 1985 and was appointed to the bench, the Justice Court bench, in September of I was really appointed in July of 1985. I took the bench in September of 1985, and where I currently hold the same position as I have for the past 26 years, going on my 27th year.
Judge, a lot of folks are saying that you wanted to, you first verbalized that you wanted to retire, and then you changed your mind, and now you're seeking re-election again, and they have a concern that your age is a factor. What do you have to say to those folks that say that?
First of all, I really didn't indicate that I was going to retire. That's absolutely not a true statement. However, I will say that I'm 76 years of age. I'm in good health and sound mind. I work out every day. I take care of myself. And as my heart doctor said, you got a heart of a 21-year-old, and my physicians say you got a body of a 25 years old. So I feel very active. I love what I'm doing, and I'm going to continue on doing the job that I have been doing in the past.
Judge, do you find it at some level kind of disrespectful that people say stuff like that, that your age would even be a consideration in a race like this?
Oh, I expected that. That's no surprise to me. I always say, do you want age and experience or youth and inexperience?
Right.
So that's going to have to be a decision of the voters. So I think I've done a good job. I'll be probably endorsed by many of the union organizations, other organizations that I have in the past, and I will continue on doing the job I have been, which I have a lot of attorneys say that I've been doing an excellent job on the bench.
You've been on the bench since 85, 86?
85.
85. You've never been opposed?
I was unopposed the first election.
Well, the first
in
election.
'86.
Okay.
And I got almost, I think it was 68% of the vote.
Since then, you've been running unopposed.
That is correct.
And the bench is a 6-year term.
That is correct.
Why do you think that you have two candidates that's running against you, correct?
Right.
What do you think that these two candidates decided to run against you?
Number one, age, and number two, the economy.
And you think they're broke and need a job?
I was going to say the economy. Okay, you threw me for a loop on that
one. Jim, you got to read into it, baby. They're broke and need a job. That's what he's saying.
I'm not saying they're broke and need a job, but I think the economy had part of it, and no factor. And it didn't surprise me that I had some opponents.
Okay, and I know that Judge Mosley, who's currently retiring, is the longest-serving judge on the bench. And in what place do you come in, the third or the second?
I think it's the third. I'd be Judge Mosley. If you count the Justice Court bench and the Municipal Court bench and everything, it'd be Judge Mosley, Judge Bixler, and then I will come in third. Judge Bixler came in at 83, and I came in at 85.
How many times have you been chief of the Justice of the Peace?
I think four times.
How come you haven't ran for a district court position?
I had no desire to go to district court. I like where I am in the Justice Court. It's a quick turnover. You handle the prelims, 2-3 hours. Well, of course, I had prelims that ended up in days. But it's a quick turnover. You have the prelims, you make the decision, bind them over to district court, and go from there. I really didn't want to get bogged down in lengthy trials.
Judge, could you explain to the listeners exactly the position or the duties of a Justice of the Peace?
The duties of Justice of Peace, we start off every morning at 7:30 in the morning and arraign the prisoners. And then we arraign the individuals who are out of custody. And then we do what we call checks on whether the individuals completed their counseling, paid their fines, paid their restitutions, stayed out of trouble. And then we go later on in the morning, then we go into preliminary hearings. And the prelims can last hours, days. Also, before we go on the bench in the morning, we review night before what they call the arrest reports that officers have written on individuals whom they arrested to see if they had probable cause for the arrest. We also set bail. We have bail hearings to set bail. We also have motion hearings on suppression of evidence that we hear. So it's all criminal that I handle.
You sign search warrants.
And sign search warrants and arrest warrants, right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many JEAs and marshals have you been through since you've been on the bench?
Well, I've been 2 JEAs. My first one was with me for 20 years.
Wow.
And retired.
Okay.
And this one's been with me going on 7 years. And I think I had 5 marshals. Some of them left and went to the other departments. Some left and went to the civil division of the county, where they made more money. I didn't stop them from doing that. That's their prerogative. So right now, I believe it's number 5.
Usually, Jim, did you have something to say?
Well,
all right, Jim. Let me finish my question.
Okay, sounds good. Walked into that one.
Judge Jansen.
Yes.
I understand when people first run for different political positions, they're very compassionate about making a change. Something went wrong personally for them maybe, and they make a difference. Why did you first run or been appointed? Why did you put your appointment in for this seat? And what are you compassionate about? Well, what is your compassion that's driving you to remain Justice of the Peace for Las Vegas?
Well, the reason I went for this position was because of the fact that I thought I was well qualified. I lectured at the Metropolitan Police Academy for 18 years. Wow. I gave the lectures on search and seizure, probable cause. I did some lectures on Miranda interrogation and preservation of evidence.
You probably need to go back and retrain them again, Joe.
Well, I'm not on the academy staff anymore. But anyway, and I thought I was well prepared for the job. And not only that, at being an ex-FBI agent, I brought street sense to the bench. You bring common sense. A lot of it's common sense. Use your common judgment. Be reasonable. Be fair. And that's what I brought to the bench. And I think I carried that concept all the way through, as I have from the beginning and even today. I try to be fair to people. I try to help people. People who maybe didn't complete all the requirements in time or didn't get a chance to make all their payments in time. I work with them. With this economy today, I have given out more community service than I ever have because the money's not there. They have a hard time paying the fine. But I work with them and send them to counseling, like petty larceny, drug counseling, alcohol counseling, to try to help. I like to cure the problem if I can. And because if you go and find them to walk out, a lot of times you did not cure the problem. So why not send them and see if they can have help and maybe they can cure their problem and not come back again.
Makes sense. Jim?
So, Judge, one of the other criticisms that has been brought by one of your opponents is that you are not willing to keep up with the current technology of today. Yeah, you don't use the internet, you don't have a computer in your courtroom, and they believe that that's actually slowing down the judicial process. What would you say to that opponent?
We don't use a computer in our job. We have one, the clerk has it. Right. The clerk looks at all that stuff up, and we need to, and she advised me. But we don't use a computer in this job. You don't need to. The only thing you do is to look up the record and see if they have pending cases where they filed and what have you. But you don't have to. You don't sit down in a computer hours and hours in this type of job.
Okay.
You handle a lot of evictions as well too.
Used to.
You don't handle that anymore.
No, we have a two civil judges now who handle the evictions. I used to handle them. Yes.
Could you tell us I know you must have seen thousands of cases in before you in your courtroom. Give us a couple cases that comes to mind that was more of a something memorable or a tearjerker that just really bugged the crap out of you.
You mean in reference to evictions or anything?
Anything.
Well, I can't really think of anything right now. The Karina King case I had, if you remember, she was driving intoxicated and hit a bus stop and killed one student and another man. That was a 4-day preliminary hearing, and it was a tough hearing. And it was a sad case. I mean, she was a young lady and happened to have too much to drink, had no prior record, and it was a sad case. But the facts were there, the evidence was there, so I bound her over to the district court, in which later I think she pled guilty to a charge, and then was sentenced. She's since has been released. I can't really think. I mean, they're all different types of cases. Eviction cases, I hated to evict somebody. I give them time to move out if they needed time. When the bank come in and foreclose, they say, well, we want 2 weeks. I said, well, that's unreasonable. I say, they got stuff in the house. I'll give them 30, 45 days. And all of a sudden you want 2 weeks. So I try to work with the people.
A judge's job is to enforce the current laws on the books and not to legislate. Are there any laws that are on the books or used to be on the books that you had to enforce that you wasn't necessarily in agreement with it?
Boy, that's a tough question. I really don't know of any, to be honest with you, that all the ones I have are simple in my court. Now, when you get into district court and Supreme Court, then you got, different, you got the more complicated matters. But more in our court is really cut and dry. You have the facts, here's the law, you apply the facts to the law, and if show that the law has been violated, then you bind them over to district court. Now, eventually, it will be up to a jury to determine the ultimate decision on that.
Do you believe in the Las Vegas Review-Journal, I would say, grading of judges? Do you believe that they do a proper job when they take surveys from different attorneys and grade a judge every year? Do you believe in that process?
Well, when I was the president of the Clark County Bar Association, I made the proposal to initiate that. Okay. And at that time, it didn't happen.
And what's your rating right now with the RJ?
You mean my 73%?
Okay.
Okay. So No, I attempted to initiate that program when I was president of the Clark County Bar Association back in 1988.
Okay.
At that time, the board didn't feel like to go along with it. So then later on, then the RJ took over. No, I think it's a good deal, but I think the survey's too long. They only had, I think, 1/5. They had from 4,000 lawyers, if I'm mistaken, and they had about 800 responded, something like that. So you had about 1/5 of the lawyers. I think if they put down a survey, should you retain the person or not retain the person? And then if you have any comments to make about the judge, make it about the judge, and we'll see that it gets to that judge. But I think a lot of the attorneys are cut off because the survey is too long. Right. That's my personal opinion. And I have been told that by other attorneys.
Why should the citizens of Las Vegas Township go to the voting booth and vote for you?
Well, I think it's my record. I'm going to continue on what I'm doing, and I think I'm doing a good job, and a lot of the attorneys said I'm doing a good job. So if they want to continue on the justice that I've been, dishing out, then I will continue to do so, and then I think that's a reason for them to vote for me.
Anything else you'd like to add, Judge?
No, but I enjoyed your Valentine's ball. I had a good time.
You're upset because you didn't get a rose, Judge.
Yeah, I didn't get a rose. You could at least give me a dandelion, something. But no, I enjoy what I'm doing. I bring street sense to the bench. Reasonable.
You still carry a gun, Judge?
Huh?
You still carry a gun?
I don't carry a gun now. I used to when I was in the FBI. Yes, we were required to. But I like to joke with the prisoners. The prisoners come in every morning.
Right.
They're about half asleep, and I like to joke, wake them up, and joke with them around.
How do you do that?
Well, like, for example, I said the other day a person came in, and he it was an individual who stole 7 or 8 bottles of perfume. And I said, man, you must have a lot of girlfriends out there to give the perfume to. And, they all laugh, what have you. And a lot of it said, like the other day, I had in custody some petty larceny cases, which was all Walmart. And I made the comment, I said, Walmart must have had a heck of a special on that day for all you guys go to shopping there. But, it
Right.
makes them laugh, breaks them up, and what have you. I had one person came in, stole some sheets, pillow sheets. Another one came and stole some pillowcases. So I said, well, who stole the mattress? So, and they got a good laugh at it.
When's the last time you visited CCDC?
I go there. Well, I go there. We have what we have every week. What we call in the tank job.
Right.
We have to, in the afternoon we have to be available all day for search warrants, arrest warrants, and then on the weekends, on Saturday, we have to go to the jail and review the arrest reports,
okay.
and it takes 2-3 hours to do that. So every 6th, 7th week, or maybe 8th week now, because we got so many judges, that we go in on a Saturday and do that. So I'm there, at least once every 2 or 3 months.
Right. Okay. Jim, you have anything else for Judge Jansen?
No, I don't have anything else.
Judge, we want to thank you for coming down and being on the show. And we wish you the best of luck in your upcoming election.
Thank
you.
And
could you give us your point of contact so the listeners get a hold of you, maybe support your candidacy?
My point of contact is my phone number is 671-3381 or 3384. I'll be glad to, if you want to call me and ask me about anything, I will do my best to give you a straight answer.
Thank you, Judge. That's Judge William Bill Jansen, Las Vegas Township Justice of the Peace. He's running in the upcoming re-election for his seat. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas with Veterans in Politics. Don't go away, folks. We'll be back with Patrick Sparger, Project 150 Executive VP.
Veterans in Politics takes a proactive approach to provide you, the veteran, with the political voice for which you fought and served.
Veterans in Politics is becoming the premier veteran organization of the 21st century, with political candidate interviews, insight, and endorsements.
Public speaking engagements in support of American values.
Radio shows to keep you updated on the latest in veteran and military support operations.
Providing job placement and business support.
Go to veteransinpolitics.com today and do your part in defending liberty.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
That's the sound of On Wheels Now, every Tuesday at 6 p.m.
If you like cars,
the smell of gasoline and rubber,
or just love motorsports and auto racing,
On Wheels Now is your inside look at local motorsports.
So don't miss the action.
We'll keep you in the loop with the latest local racing news.
We're race car drivers too, so join me, Michael.
And Mike, Tuesday at 6 p.m. Find us at onwheelsnow.com.
9711 Southeastern Avenue, Suite H1 is the place to be. Get yourself a treat. Come to M&Y Snowballs to beat the heat. More than 40 regular flavors, 8 sugar-free flavors, or your choice of 2 cream flavors. Stuff your snowball with soft serve ice cream for $1 more. We have smoothies, soft drinks, cheese and nachos, and even more. New Orleans original flavor, all of which you can savor. We hope to see you there.
Well, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas for Veterans in Politics. Live in studio, we have Patrick Spargo, Project 150 Executive VP. You know, when I hear that name, I think of Spartacus. Oh, Spartacus. You know the 300s?
Yeah.
Those 300 warriors. Yeah, that's
I remember that.
Yeah, that's what I think about when I hear that name. Hey, Patrick, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Patrick, could you give us a bio about yourself?
Let's see here. I'm a longtime Las Vegan. We moved here in 1969. Currently work at Valley Technologies, gaming manufacturer of slot machines and casino systems. I'm married, got 2 little girls, and I work in credit and collections.
Okay. You are the VP of Project 150. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Project 150 first started in December. I saw a story on Facebook about some homeless high school students at Rancho High School, and I thought that was very compelling. So I dug into it a little bit, and I didn't realize that this problem existed in Las Vegas. So I shared the story with some others on my Facebook wall, and then one of my friends caught wind of it, and he went down and introduced himself to the homeless advocate at Rancho High School and learn more about the students and families that are struggling due to this economy and several other factors. And so we realized there was a need to help these families, and so we decided to put the word out via social media, Facebook and Twitter, email blast, and the response was overwhelming. It was kind of a grassroots movement, so we decided that rather than do this just during the holidays, we were going to continue on.
Where did that name come from, Patrick?
Project 150 was a name we thought about the initial focus of our program, which was there was 150 students that we targeted at Rancho High School.
So now, how many homeless folks are in your program, and how many counselors that help operate the program?
Well, we're not sure of the exact numbers that we're targeting. Well, we know that we're targeting approximately 500 high school students, and not all of them are homeless. We also use the term displaced because these students, they're sleeping on couches of friends. Some of them, have a home, but they don't have the furniture or the necessities in their home to have a normal day at home, if you will. Some kids don't have beds to sleep in, a dinner table to have dinner with their family and do their homework. there's 500 high school kids basically that we're trying to help. There's about 5,000 students in need in Las Vegas. But we felt the high school students were the ones that we wanted to target because they're very close to the finish line, and we want to help them get across the finish line by graduating and then moving on with their adult life.
So how does your organization help these kids? I mean, do you have a place to facilitate them, or do you arrange with different citizenry of Clark County, Las Vegas, or Henderson, North Las Vegas to facilitate these homeless kids? How does it work, basically?
Well, basically what we did, Steve, when we filed our 501c3 paperwork, we wanted to make sure we were above the board and that we were official. So right now that paperwork's in process, and we've met with several organizations here in the city. One was the Title I program. They're the ones that have the high school advocates that identify these children in need. And so we're working with them. We don't work directly with the student because there's liability, and that's the school district's job, really. We want to be a support system for them. So we work with the advocates. They bring their needs to us, identify the kids, and basically call or email me or Don Purdue and say, these are the specific needs for this particular student, our family. And then we try to carry that message out to our volunteers on Facebook or via email and just spread the word. And we've had a great response from a lot of the people that have been in Las Vegas for a long time, and also some people that are fairly new to Las Vegas. So it's exciting for us to see people coming to support us.
So what are the basic needs that these high school kids that are homeless need that your organization actually provides for them? Well,
the initial focus was on food and clothing. And when I say food, it's, basically snacks, breakfast items, lunch items. Not every student qualifies for a hot lunch for various reasons. And I'm not going to get into that because that's a very long answer. There's all sorts of situations. So what we've tried to do is provide them some very quick snack type items that they can eat before school so they're not hungry, or lunch, whether it's a breakfast bar, an energy bar, some peanut butter and jelly to make a quick sandwich, so they have something in their stomachs when they go into their class. The last thing you want to do is have a hungry student in your class. So we try to fill that immediate need. Also, the clothes, we had an overwhelming response through the holidays. We were able to drop off about 4 truckfuls of new and used clothing to Rancho High School and some of the other high schools. We provided some groceries and also a lot of gift cards. On the weekends, these children have a need to eat. There's not always food in their house. So we've got several donations of gift cards of $5 and $10 to Carl's Jr., McDonald's, Subway, Sonic, and also some gift cards to Target and Walmart for groceries.
Well, I'm still a little confused on how do you facilitate them and where do you put them to take them off the streets? Where do they go?
Okay, well, as far as the donations, we pick them up directly. We deliver them to the advocate at the high school, and they usually have a small office or a room where they store these items. The kids come to see them, on a daily basis, and they explain to, for example, Angela Uraga at Rancho High School. She has a desk, and on her desk they have all sorts of snacks and water and juice on the desk. So the kids will come in and ask her, Miss Angela, may I please have a snack or something to drink? So, and then Friday afternoon they may come and ask for, some food to take home. So,
well, where is home if they're homeless?
Well, they're not all homeless, like I said before. Some of them are displaced. Some of them are, they are homeless. Some sleep in cars. Some sleep at shelters. Some are at their friends' families couch surfing. Some are with their grandparents because their parents are unable to take care of them.
So, if I'm understanding this correctly, basically your organization just feeds them and once in a while clothe them, but they don't actually give them a place to sleep.
At the present time, we do not house them, so to speak. There's other organizations that are out there that do that. We're looking to partner with them. The actual number of students that are actually homeless is very minute, very few. Normally the kids are in transition from one spot to another. I think a better term is that they're underhoused or disadvantaged.
So Patrick, does your organization, so you don't, basically what you are is, the way you facilitate it is, when the homeless advocate group or the underhoused individual in these high schools, they come to you, and basically your organization is kind of like a middleman.
That's correct.
You reach out to the community to bring stuff in.
That's correct.
Does your organization doesn't do any like direct fundraising?
We do fundraising on our website. We have an option for PayPal where you can make an online donation. We've had several companies mail us checks, individuals. And again, we're getting a lot of direct donations of gift cards, clothing items. The other day, the IZOD Corporation mailed us 4 large boxes of clothes. We had an individual, I believe it was in Texas, shipped us 20 scientific calculators because we have some very bright kids in these schools in magnet programs. So we've got a lot of help.
How do you identify them?
Well, we don't. The advocate at the school is the one that's identifying them through the Title I program.
How does that work, the Title I program, for the advocates to identify them, to reach out to you?
You know, I'm not sure how they go about it. It's usually through a counselor, I believe, at the school, or a teacher finds a child that maybe is struggling. They ask some questions, they interview the child, and then they assign them to the Title I advocate at the school. Is how I believe it works.
Okay, just walk the listeners through your program. The advocates from the high school identify a child to be homeless, and then the advocate reaches out to you to do what?
Well, the advocate is basically just contacting us, and they say, you know, let's just throw a number at it. I have 80 students that are hungry, are in need. So then what I ask the advocate is, what is the most pressing need that you have at this time? One answer I received in December was, I have 3 students that don't have a bed to sleep in. To me, that was a very urgent need. We put the message out on Facebook. We had 3 beds within 18 hours. We had them delivered in, I think it was 48 hours. That was one need. Right now, we have a big need for underwear, undergarments, socks. So there's a clothing need. Next week, it could be, you know, hey, I've run out of food items and snacks for these kids. So the important thing is for us to continue to communicate on a regular basis with the advocates.
And what high schools do you deal with, Patrick?
Well, we're dealing with, I believe it's 12 or 14 high schools right now. I'll name a few that I know of: Rancho, Clark, Western, Southwest, Technical Academy, Valley, Chaparral, Las Vegas High School, Del Sol, Basic, Durango. Those are the ones I can remember.
Okay. Jim?
Well, it just seems interesting that, how many, are you the only group like this out there, or is there more groups? Like, do you get involved with, like, see, because one thing, have you guys, I mean, I know you're kind of in the infancy stage, but one of the things that, by listening to you, I would think might be something too, is communicating with other organizations. So like maybe one organization could be more food focused, and one organization could be more clothing focused. Then that way it could kind of streamline it a little better.
Sure. And you know, because we're such a newbie as far as the organizations go, what I can tell you is we've spoken to 3 Square. I've spoken to the Salvation Army, the United Way, communities in schools. They offer a lot of direct mentoring and support for the students. So we've spoken to several organizations. It's hard to do for 1 or 2 people, so we are looking for volunteers that can help facilitate some of these needs. But, in time, we're going to grow. We're going to collaborate. We know that we can't do this ourselves. We need the community support. And there's a lot of great organizations out here in Las Vegas, and we look forward to talking to all of them.
Have you worked with the superintendent and the Clark County Board of Trustees to deal with this situation?
We haven't spoken to the superintendent yet.
You want a cell number?
Yeah, that'd be great. But we are speaking to several people within the school district that are kind of carrying our message.
Like the board president, Linda Young. Who else sits on that board?
Aaron Craner,
Carolyn Edwards. Have you spoke to those folks?
I have not. However, Mrs. Luann Wagner at Clark High School has spoken to, I believe it was Miss Young, about our program. For example, yesterday we were able to help. They had a dance for disabled students. It wasn't really something that was Project 150 centered, right, but we felt a need to support them. And so they're well aware of what we're doing at the schools, and we'll get there.
Okay. Anything else you want to add, Patrick?
Well, I'd just like to, maybe give out our website and suggest that the volunteers connect with us via our website, which is www.project150lv.org, or you can call me at 234-4352.
Well, Patrick, thank you so much for coming on the show. It sounds like a very how would you put it?
It's a very worthwhile project. I'm glad to hear you got involved in that, and there's a lot of people that I think you're a good example of when people say, "Well, there's nothing I can do." It doesn't matter how much you can do, as long as you're doing something. Yeah. You're being a part of the solution, not the problem. So thank you very much for that.
Thanks for having me. And the one thing I will say is, my goal was to give back 30 minutes each day to someone less fortunate. And I think if everybody in the community would do that, we could see a big change in the things around here.
Right. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
We really understand that concept, don't we, Jim? Jim?
Yes, we do.
This is Steve Sanson, Jones for Veterans in Politics, and that was Patrick Sparger, Project 150 Executive VP. Don't go away, folks. We got halftime football here, so we're going to be coming right back with Robert Kurth, candidate for Las Vegas Township Justice of the Peace, Department 5.
While growing up, I've always asked my family, who is my father? I was told the name of a man. When I became older, I looked for this man and found him. He thought that I was his son as well, but after a DNA test, it was discovered that my family was lying to me all my life. I pressured my family to give me the real identity of my father. I then became suspicious and took my grandfather's DNA. After I buried my grandfather, 2 days later I discovered that my grandfather was in fact my biological father. I questioned myself and asked, what is my purpose on this earth? I should have never been conceived. But when I look at my 4 children, I knew that everything happens for a reason. This is Steve Sanson. Find your identity.
Hey, listen up. If you're a military veteran, if you're related to a veteran, or if you know a veteran, you'll enjoy the Veterans Reporter radio show every Thursday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. with me. I'm your host, Chuck N. Baker. Every week, we will explore veterans' issues and we'll have guests who will talk about topics of interest to and about the veterans community. And if you don't listen, you'll have to give me 20 push-ups.
Hey you, this is Vince, here on the Talk with Vince show, where no subject is off the table. We'll explore the depths of your mind. Spirituality, we talk it. Enlightenment, we talk it. Politics, we talk that too. Ufology, you want it, you got it. Conspiracy facts, we're on it. Sex, we talk it. So join me every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. for Talk with Vince, here on VegasAllNetRadio.com. Talk that will blow your mind.
Sweet Cheeks, the fashionista with the curvaceous bounty of Sin City. Join myself, Alexia, Sierra, and Calypso on Sunday nights from 7 to 10 at VegasAllNetRadio.com. I'll show you how stylish it is to feel good about yourself, love yourself at any size, show your arms, dress cute, and walk proud. Check us and our cleavages out at SinCityBounty.com.
Americans have been fooled by politicians about illegal immigration. They make you think that if you bring up this topic, you are a racist. Did you know that America is the only country on this planet that does not enforce its federal immigration laws? For the fear of being called a racist. I am for legal immigration. I was born on the island of Jamaica, became an American citizen, served 12 years in the U.S. military, served in Desert Storm, and received a Presidential Unit Citation, National Defense Medal, and Marine Corps Commendation. Our immigration laws serve a purpose. I understand that this country was founded on immigration, but there is a wrong way and a right way. I'm here to tell you that illegal immigration is breaking our federal laws. Why don't you call me a racist? This is Steve Sanson.
This is Jim Jonas asking you to listen to Veterans in Politics. Veterans in Politics is a weekly broadcast internet talk show hosted by myself, Jim Jonas, and Steve Sanson, president of Veterans in Politics Incorporated, that airs every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. at www.vegasallnetradio.com. Veterans in Politics' sole purpose is to teach, educate, and inform veterans on issues and the candidates that will affect them. Too many politicians say they support veterans and their issues, but their actions tell a different story. Here at Veterans in Politics, we will expose these politicians by giving them a chance to come in and explain their actions to veterans so veterans can truly make informed decisions. Listen every Saturday to stay informed and to hold politicians accountable for their votes.
SS Navigator has arrived. Many people wait for their ship to come in, but they are at the airport. Don't miss this ship known as the SS Navigator, which could mean steamship or could mean the Social Security Navigator. Heard on VegasAllNetRadio.com.
This is Don Dehar. Join me for the Social Security Navigator program every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Time.
Not affiliated with any government agency.
Well, we're back. We're supposed to have Robert Kurth on, but he's looking for the studio, so we decided to bring on Dr. Stephen Frye, who is a Democrat candidate for Nevada Congressional District 3. Doc, how you doing?
I'm doing fabulous, and it's a pleasure to be back. I always appreciate you having me on the show.
Could you give us a bio about yourself?
A bio? Do you want like mine, or you want the one my mother would have given? Which one do you want?
I want the one that your campaign manager was trying to send me. How's that one?
Yes. Born and raised in Boston, went to Boston University, a top university, and then went to George Washington University School of Medicine. From there, I did my internship and residency in UC San Francisco. Also one of the tops in the country. Was a director of mental health for Sonoma County, California for 4 years. Then I was in private practice for 17 after that. Been involved with veterans all along. When I was in private practice, Dudley, who was the veteran service officer in Sonoma County, California, would send me all her post-traumatic stress disorder people. So I've been taking care of veterans for years. And I'm myself a decorated Green Beret. And I wrote a book on ending the drug war, and here I am running for Congress.
Doc, you know, I've listened to a lot of your speeches, and the only one I've been hearing is one platform that talks about legalizing marijuana for different reasons, whether it's PTSD or what have you. And I know, being a congressman, there is, I don't know, millions and millions different platforms. Maybe you got illegal immigration.
You are right.
Yeah. You got crimes on the street.
I am so happy you brought that up, so it'll give me a chance to talk about the other aspects of my platform.
So I wanted to know why you just keep mentioning one platform and don't switch it up a little bit.
You know, because this gives you a job to do when you invite me to talk about these things, and it looks spontaneous and fabulous, and And so let's talk about that. My platform is actually threefold.
Okay.
The first one is to create hundreds of thousands of green American jobs. And I'm the only one with a specific plan to do that. Everybody talks about it, but nobody has specifics.
Let's hear these specific plans.
The specifics is to re-legalize hemp. Hemp is illegal in this country simply because it's called cannabis. You can never get high from it. You can make the number one food in the world, most nutritious from hemp. The number one paper and wood. You get 4 cycles a year as opposed to a tree, which takes 20 or 30 years to grow. It's the number one source of fuel. We can make eco-fuel and get rid of our dependence on foreign oil. It's the number one source of plastics. So hemp is incredible, and it was legal in the foundation of our country. George Washington and Thomas Jefferson both said, sow hemp, it will save our country. If only we had listened to them. It was made illegal in 1933 with the Cannabis Tax Act, and then it was made legal again from 1941 to 1945 to help us win World War II. The program was called Hemp for Victory. Well, I want us to have hemp for victory again and re-legalize hemp to create hundreds of thousands of green American jobs and revitalize both our agricultural and our industrial sectors.
Isn't hemp part of the marijuana family?
That's the only reason it's legal. It's called cannabis, but you cannot get high from it. Just like you can't make wood and food.
You see, Doc, we're back to the marijuana thing again.
No, we're not. We're on a different strain of cannabis, and it's it is a cousin. I will grant you we're in the cousins family here, and I know you want to push that point, and I'm happy to have you push it.
I want to hear the other platforms.
Okay.
I want tell us about illegal immigration.
So let's talk about that also. But let me just finish this. We have 3 focal parts of the platform. The second one is changing our education around. We have a major problem with education in Nevada. We're like on the bottom 49th or 50th.
And you're not going to say let's put teachers on marijuana.
I am not going to do that.
Okay.
No. What I am going to say is that we need to start to have some balance in how we educate our kids. We spend tons of money in special education for the intellectually challenged, which if they're lucky are going to graduate high school and are unlikely to ever support themselves. And what we don't fund is our gifted kids, the top 10%. There was an article in Newsweek magazine, Our Turn, where the mother of both a gifted child, teenager, and a young child with autism wrote a letter and said, it's ridiculous that we spend all this money on my autistic child who is never even going to be able to live independently, and we don't fund my gifted kid who may in fact come up with a cure for autism.
Boy, Doc, be careful. That's a pretty conservative approach. I wouldn't expect that of a Democrat.
Well, you see, I'm a pragmatist and a humanitarian first.
You might piss a lot of people off with that statement, too.
Well, my job is just to tell it like it is, and what we need to do is to correct this country. That's why I'm running for Congress. My dream was to never be a politician. Right. My dream was to be a doctor, and I was. My dream was to be a medical school professor, and I was. So I'm doing this to give back because I think that everything that I am saying is going to be good for Nevada and good for the country and good for our citizens.
Aren't you director of a mental facility here in Clark County?
Yes, I'm the director of the outpatient clinic at Harmony Healthcare, West Charleston Clinic. Yes.
Well, let me throw something that's probably right down your alley. How would you deal with these post-traumatic stress disorder, all these troops that are returning back to our country? How would you handle it?
I'm so my campaign manager is going to swear I gave you all these questions to ask because they are absolutely perfect. I'm going to get an attaboy when we get done here today. Wowzy dow. Well, how are we going to take care of all these post-traumatic stress disorders? Well, we have to do a number of things. First of all, we have to fund the VA to the max. And by the way, we are so fortunate to have a new VA hospital that's going to be opening here in the next few months, thanks to Shelley Berkeley and Harry Reid and all the people that worked hard for that.
As far as what I was told.
Did we actually have a date next month?
March of 2012 is what I was told.
I certainly hope so because it's overdue, and our veterans deserve all the quality health care we can give them. They sacrifice so much of their mental and physical being that we need to take care of them.
By the way, is there a mental health facility in the new hospital that's coming?
There's certainly outpatient. I'm not sure whether or not there's going to be an inpatient hospital. That I don't know. I know there's one in Reno because a good friend of mine, Charlie Jansen, runs it up there, and I've been on the unit many times when I used to live in Reno. But let's go back to taking care of our soldiers because that was your pivotal, critical question. And the answer to that question is we need to provide them with all the help they need. And one of the important tools that can enable them, and this you're going to love, is marijuana. I know you were going to get me bringing that back. And in fact, the VA has approved the use of medical marijuana in people with PTSD and traumatic brain injury because even they can no longer deny its incredible value.
So, Doc, tell me where I'm wrong on this one.
Sure.
It was the Bush Gore election. And and Gore was talking to a group of high school kids on an MTV program, and they asked him if he was for legalizing marijuana.
Yes.
And he said he wasn't because the medical community at that time had not proven that there was an actual medical benefit to using marijuana.
He was misinformed.
It could be used to mask symptoms or calm people down, but there wasn't an actual medical benefit.
But
to
that's
it.
because he's not a doctor and hasn't spent 3 years researching it and writing a book as I have
so-
done. Let me tell you the actual medical benefits of marijuana.
Go ahead.
It is the most incredible medicine we have by far. It treats 50 different diseases. It's the best treatment we have for many brain diseases.
Like glaucoma.
Glaucoma for the eyes, yes. I know that's the excuse you personally use. I know that. That's the one you tell the doc all the time, that if I can get my glaucoma prescription, doc, I'll be coming back next month. But that's just one minor one. It's the medication of choice for so many brain diseases, Parkinsonism, the multiple sclerosis. Montel Williams has been talking about it for a year, how good it's been for him. It prevents and treats Alzheimer's and stroke. It's good for depression, anxiety, PTSD for sure.
All right,
I should bring my books next time when I come to document all of the studies that have been done.
I like to play devil's advocate.
Please do.
And I hate to interrupt you, but
Sure.
doesn't it kill brain cells and isn't it addictive?
Yeah. Oh, God, I'm so happy that you brought that up. I owe you a dinner, I'm telling you. First of all,
And
absolutely.
I'm going to collect, too.
I knew that. That was the only thing I knew you were going to pay attention to all session. The rest I had doubt, but I knew you would pay attention to that dinner thing. There is one caveat, though. You're going to have to prove to me that you voted for one Democrat in your life.
I voted for a lot of Democrats.
Oh,
in my
okay,
life.
then I owe you a dinner.
We can do
that. That's 2 dinners.
Okay. One for you and your compadre.
No,
All right.
he's at
But
both
I want to
dinners.
answer his question. I want to answer because they're very important questions.
Okay.
The answer to the question is marijuana kill brain cells. Not only does it not kill brain cells, it prevents and treats Alzheimer's. It's excellent for brain cells. These are all the myths that keep being put out there that get people to understand or to think that we need to make it illegal. It is so much safer than alcohol. There's no comparison.
So why do people forget what they're doing when they're on marijuana?
While you're acutely intoxicated, yes. I do not want you operating on my brain or flying my airplane while you're acutely intoxicated. But that's just like being drunk. That's a few hours thing. Once those 4 hours are over, it's not hurting the brain cells. Number one. Number two, the second question you asked, which was also critically important, is it addictive? It is absolutely not addictive. It is not a gateway drug. 3 different studies have shown, important studies from the Institute of Health, from the World Health Organization and the British government have all shown that marijuana is absolutely, positively not a gateway drug. The gateway is the dealer. That's the gateway. Because he doesn't want you to just buy marijuana every month or two. He's giving you free samples of the hard stuff, so you'll buy something from him every week. So that's the gateway, not the drug. And the only way to get rid of the drug war is to get rid of the drug dealer.
Right.
And that solves the problem.
So, Doc, I'm going to ask another softball question here.
Sure.
I'm sure you'll think so. How are you going to beat Dr. Joe Heck?
I think that when the people learn about my platform compared to his, that they're going to decide that I'm the better person for this job, number one. Number two, he voted against the extension of the recent middle-class tax break here a couple of months ago.
Right.
Number three, he's on the record as saying that he thinks Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. I don't. I think Social Security is one of the great American backbones. Before we had that, we had tons of senior citizens living homeless in the street and eating insufficient food, and now we don't have these seniors living in the street in poverty anymore. So I think that Social Security is a backbone. Does it need some mild adjustment to adjust for the fact that when it was put into effect, the average age was 65, and now the average age is, I think, 78. Yes, it may need some adjustment, but that doesn't mean it's not a fabulous program.
And I want to add, with regards to the current Congressman Joe Heck, did you know that he was part of a bill to have veterans wait till they're 65 years old to collect their retirement instead of after 20 years?
I may have to owe you another dinner. Is that true?
Three dinners. Yes.
Yeah, that is.
So
I have Facebook messages to prove it.
So you are telling me that he was part of a bill that would delay veterans' retirement until they were 65.
65, yes.
And are you telling me that veterans should vote for him instead of me? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just telling you what that bill entails.
Well, I did not know about that, and I am.
Maybe you might want to look it up.
I am going to look at the bill to increase the vets' age to 65. I think you just gave me every veteran in my district's votes.
And then if you want to see my Facebook messages, that's probably like 5 or 6 additional dinners. Yeah.
So, Doc, can you give the listeners a breakdown of the demographics in your area? Because I know that when CD3 was originally drawn up, I believe it was in 2000, the RJ came out with an article and said that will be a solid Republican congressional district till the end of time. John Porter's never going to have to worry about re-election. What are the numbers looking like today?
Well, even that couldn't be right because Dina Titus carried it, and so the numbers are not correct. As I recollect, Joe Heck just won it by 1,700 votes, and I attribute those to Heidi Harris and her nonstop anti-Obama, anti-Democratic, anti-everything else, and her pro-Heck and everybody else.
God, don't talk bad about Steve's buddy.
I'm just talking about some facts. Even Tina Titus said so. So I just got the information the other day from the census, and it's like 50 different categories. I haven't had a chance to digest it yet, but I can tell you that basically my district is from Sunset and Russell south all the way to the border. So it covers the south quadrant of the city here all the way down to the border, and I know we have a prominent number of Hispanics in there. What the exact percentage is, I can't tell you.
Well, how about voter registration? That's more what I was talking about, Democrat versus Republican.
We I think we're several percentage, 3 to 5% higher at this point in time than the Republicans. So I think that in answer to your question, what is our path to victory? I think that for a lot of reasons we have a smooth path to victory.
Are you the only one in the primary, Doc?
No, Assemblyman John Oseguera is also in the primary at this time, and he and I will determine who wins the primary. I'm very confident at this point in time. I've accumulated a fabulous campaign staff. This is Derek Washington, who is my campaign manager. Got 2 other wonderful people working with me. We're just starting the fundraising. And my message is a message that resonates.
What are you going to do about foreclosures? Because that's huge in your district.
It is. The idea that I have on foreclosures is unique. I think that what we need to do is make the banks and the homeowners co-owners of the home based on the current value, so that the homeowner would not have to move and the bank would have an appreciation as the home goes up in value. Right now, everybody loses when we throw the homeowner on the street. The home becomes vacant. It's an annoyance to the bank. It goes down in value precipitously after that. If we allow the homeowner and the bank to co-own it, the owner would always have the choice of when it gets sold. And once the bank gets sold, and the assumption for this is that sometime in the next 1 or 3 or 5 or 10 years, the prices are going to go back up. Will they go all the way back up? I have no way of knowing. But they're going to go up some. And when they do go up some, the bank benefits and the homeowner benefits.
Okay.
So that both parties come out ahead in this game.
Do you know that John Oseguera refuses to come on this program?
But I want to put a challenge out to him that I will debate him anytime and any place. I did not know that he refused, but have you ever asked me when I refused?
No, you've never refused.
I have never refused. I want the people to understand what we stand for and the benefits that we have for our country. And if he has not come on, I certainly cannot give you an explanation for that. It may mean he doesn't care about veterans or has a bad voting record on veterans. I don't know. His voting record on education just came out a couple of weeks ago, and the Nevada State Education Association gave him the grade of D. So I don't know if Nevada residents are going to want to send a D student to Congress.
And what's your rating, Doc?
I'm not in the Nevada Assembly, so they couldn't rate me. You have to have been in a voting position. But I think when they understand my position on gifted education and we have to fund the brightest kids, who, by the way, have a substantially increased dropout rate because either they get bored or they get teased for being smart.
Right.
So we have to fund these gifted kids because these are the people that are going to be the next generation of Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and Oprah Winfrey.
What's your position on illegal immigration? Because I know I threw that at him a couple times. He's been dodging.
Let's talk. No, I'm so happy you brought that back up.
Is that another dinner, Doc?
I think you're pushing your luck here.
I'm going
to owe you a restaurant. I mean, you want me to buy you a whole restaurant here now?
I'm into restaurants.
I can see you are.
I'll find somebody to cook for me.
Boy, you got a beautiful wife. I'm sure she knows how to cook. I saw her at the fabulous gala dinner, the fundraiser, which, by the way, I want to congratulate you on. That was a tremendous fundraiser for all the veterans. But I do not want to dodge your question on illegal immigrants. My thinking on that is also unique. I think that we need to undertake something like a statute of limitations. And we have what's called mutual negligence. The United States, by leaving the border unguarded, it to some extent allowed people to come in freely. They did come in freely. We let them stay here for decades. We let them earn a living. We let their kids graduate from school and become solid American citizens. That now the only thing they have remaining with their heritage is they speak Spanish. I see kids that have never been to Mexico. Right. I take care of the culinary people in my job. We have the contract to take care of the culinary union. So as you may very well imagine, fully a third of my patients are Hispanic. And these kids have never been to Mexico. They know nothing about it. They are as American as apple pie. So if we have a system, something like statute of limitations. If someone has been in this country, pick a number, 5, 10 years, whatever, they have not gotten in trouble, they have been good citizens, we have to create a path for them. We cannot send them back. It's never going to work. In many cases, they're providing vital services. They have gotten an education. I have some that have nice positions in the community, nurses, supervisors at casinos, and these people are not going to be sent back. So let's figure out a rational way to enable them to become citizens and participate with us. We are a country based on immigrants. My immigrants came decades ago, as did everybody in this room.
Well, let me stop you right there, because
Sure.
I'm a strong advocate against illegal immigration, okay? Because I was born in the country of Jamaica, and this is how I did it, okay? I applied for a green card, and then I got a visa, and then I came here on my Jamaican passport. And then you know what else I did?
What?
I joined a thing called the U.S. military that a lot of illegals have not been doing. They're not joining the U.S. military because they can't, because they have phony Social Security numbers. They're taking somebody else's identity, which is identity theft, which is another felony. Anyways, so I joined the military, and guess what I did while I was in the military? I got a thing called naturalization.
Right.
So I became an American citizen. So why should people like me that went through the whole process to become an American citizen and other people get a free rim? And I understand this country is brought on immigration because that's how it is. But there's a thing called legalized immigration and illegalized immigration, like justifiable homicide and murder. Two separate entities.
Correct.
And they're both dead, right?
Right.
Okay, then. So legalized immigration and illegalized immigration. Which side are you on? Are you on the legalized immigration, or are you on the illegalized immigration?
We have to continue with the current path of tightening the borders and letting everyone get in legally when they can. But because we had such a defective system for decades, we had up to 1 million people coming into this country every year. And by the way, tons of drugs, unchallenged over the border, every single year.
A lot of it marijuana, right?
Everything. Everything. Our meth epidemic is a testimonial to the failure of the drug war and our porous borders. So because we had all those porous borders for so long and people just walked through, now they are here. Is your recommendation that we put everybody in the truck and send them back?
No, my recommendation is this.
Okay.
That we identify them.
Yes.
We make they apply for Social Security.
Yes.
They apply. They pay their taxes.
Yes.
Going all the way back.
Okay.
Till whatever day that is.
Okay.
And then they go on a 6-month waiting program.
Okay.
To apply for their citizenship, and if they don't do it within the time frame, then we send them all back.
Well, you and I are really very close.
Right.
We are much closer than you and a lot of other people.
Because a lot of them right now are
Yes.
using somebody else's identity. That's why all these dead people are voting.
And you will remember that when I started out, I said those people that have been here a fixed number of years in good standing, which means never being arrested, other than like a parking ticket.
Well, what about identity fraud? Isn't that
absolutely
illegal?
If you are found with identity fraud, you should not be eligible. No
Well,
question.
how
in my
are they
mind.
getting in our schools? They have to have a Social Security number, right?
I don't know.
Yeah. See, Doc, maybe you might want to get your campaign manager to do some research.
Campaign manager, can you please get off your butt and get some research done for me over here, please? We need a little research on this topic. Thank you, campaign manager. Yeah, I didn't know you were from Jamaica. That explains why you have this wonderful preoccupation with the ganja. Now I know why you're so obsessed with the marijuana. You come from Jamaica, man. In Jamaica, everybody is doing the ganja all day long.
And it's illegal in Jamaica, too.
But they're still doing it.
I know, they're still doing it.
Did I ever tell you about my favorite study that was done down there in the newborn babies in Jamaica?
No.
This nurse called Melanie Dreyer, 30-ish years ago, went down to see if there was a problem with marijuana impact on babies.
Right.
And so in Jamaica, everybody's doing the ganja. They like the ganja man down there. So she went down and studied 25 babies who were born of mothers who did not do pot and 25 of mothers who did do pot. Right. And lo and behold, not only was there no problem whatsoever on the babies whose mothers did pot throughout pregnancy, but at 30 days of age, those babies fed better and focused better and socialized better than the other babies.
Really?
Now, let's take that story to the next level. Fetal alcohol syndrome, which is the babies born from mothers who are doing alcohol, is a lifelong, disabling, catastrophic condition. Before pot became illegal in 1933, it was the treatment of choice for alcohol. So what happens if we take all these alcoholic women and give them marijuana, which is a treatment for alcohol, stops having fetal alcohol babies? Can you imagine the medical benefits to our society of 0.5% of our people who are no longer going to be lifelong disabled?
You know what? I agree with you.
Can I get that on campaign manager? Can you get that on tape? He said he agreed with me.
This is tape.
Okay.
I think that marijuana should be legal, and I think marijuana should be decriminalized. Whether they have to go through a process of giving you a ticket for it, and you know what? And that brings me to that Trevon Cole, that linebacker for UNLV that was shot in the face because he was a low-level marijuana dealer. I mean, he got killed for selling weed. I mean, give me a break. So what are you going to do to legalize marijuana in this country?
That, my friend, is why I am running for Congress, because it's a federal issue, and running for the Nevada State Assembly or the Nevada State Senate will give me no leverage whatsoever. I am running specifically to educate the public about the benefits of tax and control and the total incredible failure of the drug war. There's a new report that has come out since I was here last time called the Global Commission on Drug Policy. And this commission is not just a bunch of goofies. This commission is the 4 former presidents of Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, and Switzerland, along with Kofi Annan from the United Nations and Richard Branson, the entrepreneur who owns World Airways.
I thought Kofi Annan resigned.
He did, but he was on this commission.
Okay.
Yeah, and these are we were talking high-powered people. And this commission came out with the report.
I know my current events.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. Especially since you're now supporting my marijuana campaign. I'm thrilled to now have you officially on the record as supporting that. I just love it. In any case, here we go. So this commission came out and they said the drug war is lost. We can never win it. We have to go to a treatment model and stop criminalization. That's exactly what I've been saying for 5 years. And a month after that, the NAACP, at their annual convention, came out with the position that we also need to end the drug war because it's not working, number one, and it's racism at its worst, number two. So everything is going my way. The world is accepting the fact that the drug war is incredibly lost. We can never win it. Treatment is the only thing that has ever reduced drug use, drug demand, and that's what we got to do is we have to provide, and that's what I do. I'm a physician. I provide treatment. That's how I got into this whole thing. Treatment works. If we can't even keep drugs out of prison, and we can't keep 1 million illegal immigrants out of the country, please tell me how we're ever going to keep them off the street.
Because we're a corrupt nation.
Well,
yeah, I just said it. Yeah, I'm on the record. I said that. We're
a
corrupt nation. With that said, Dr. Frye, we're going to have to kick you out the booth.
I appreciate immensely the opportunity to talk with you about all of these issues. I'm happy to come back anytime you want, and anytime Assemblyman Oseguero would like to do a debate, you count me in. I will be here.
Alrighty then. That's Dr. Stephen Frye. Could I get your point of contact, Doc?
My website for my campaign is fryefornevada.com.
Okay, this is Steve Sanson with Jim Jones for Veterans of Politics. Don't go away, folks. We have Chris Rasmussen, candidate for Clark County District Court, Department 20.
This public service announcement is brought to you by Veterans in Politics International. The Veterans in Politics is to teach, educate, organize and awaken our veterans and their families to select, support, and vote intelligently for a better world and to protect ourselves from our own governments and a culture of corruption and to be the political voice for those in other groups that do not have one.
There are too many homeless veterans and more help is needed from the VA. Every Veteran Service Organization post should adopt a local homeless veteran.
The funding of VA medical centers is inadequate, and building a VA hospital in southern Nevada is moving at a slow pace. The budget has been flatlined for too many years. The VA is too quick to deny claims and too slow to help veterans gather records in support of claims.
Local politicians ignore veterans and their issues. They perceive a lack of organization among their local veterans and that it won't hurt them at election time. Veterans too often vote party, not veteran issues. All veterans should vote in every election.
The news media give inadequate coverage to veteran issues and events. You must send letters to the editor and voice this concern.
Please contact your members of Congress and Senate and urge them to co-sponsor key legislation in supporting our veterans.
Please support Veterans in Politics. And to get more information, go to www.veteransinpolitics.com.
This is Sierra from the Curvaceous Bounty of Sin City, urging you to adopt, not shop. There are hundreds of thousands of animals out there looking for homes, and you could be their next forever home. Visit your local animal shelter today to find your next family member.
Join Alexia, Sierra, Calypso, and Sweet Cheeks for a no-holds-barred show on VegasAllNetRadio.com, the Curvaceous Bounty of Sin City, where we talk about dating, love, life, and sex. Tune in Sundays from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Are you brave enough? The Curvaceous Bounty of Sin City. Visit us at SinCityBounty.com.
This is Jim Jonas asking you to listen to Veterans in Politics. Veterans in Politics is a weekly broadcast internet talk show hosted by myself, Jim Jonas, and Steve Sanson, president of Veterans in Politics Incorporated, that airs every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. at www.vegasallnetradio.com. Veterans in Politics' sole purpose is to teach, educate, and inform veterans on issues and the candidates that will affect them. Too many politicians say they support veterans and their issues, but their actions tell a different story. Here at Veterans in Politics, we will expose these politicians by giving them a chance to come in and explain their actions to veterans so veterans can truly make informed decisions. Listen every Saturday to stay informed and to hold politicians accountable for their votes.
Well, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jones of Veterans in Politics. Before we bring on Chris Rasmussen, candidate for Clark County District Court Department 20, just wanted to introduce some of the Veterans in Politics members. And folks, don't forget that on February 25th, a week from today, we're going to have the judicial endorsement candidate interview at the Marine Corps Leatherneck Club at 4360 West Spring Mountain Road between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. So you might want to come down there and either support a candidate or be educated on who these judicial candidates are that are running for judge. First one is Jason Brooks. Jason, go ahead.
Steve, nice to see you again as always. Always a pleasure working with you.
Just give a little bio about yourself, Jason.
Let's see. Military background. I was retired staff sergeant out of 1st Reconnaissance Battalion, Marine Corps, that is, for those of you who don't know what that is. I was retired in 2005, came back here to Vegas, where I was born and raised, and I always love getting involved in anything that has to do with politics and veterans.
Very good. Are you going to be on the panel next week?
I will. I will be on the panel again for you next week on the 25th. I always like to put judges on the hot seat and get to, get into them a little bit, see what they're about, see how they can shake, rattle, and roll when Marines are interrogating them. So it would be a good thing.
All right. Thanks, Jason.
It's my pleasure, Steve.
Then we have Bruno Moya. How you doing, Bruno?
Good. How about yourself?
Beautiful. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I did 8 years in the Marine Corps in the infantry. The last 3 years I was a combat instructor. Came back to Las Vegas.
Exactly. What's a combat instructor? I hate to interrupt you, but what is that?
Combat instructor was when you finish boot camp, you go to this place called the School of Infantry, and you get trained on basic infantry skills for other non-infantry guys, or you go to your MOS school for infantry. So that's where I was at.
All right, and finish up your bio.
And came back here to Las Vegas with a family. Got a daughter, and recently going to school for psychology.
Psychology, Jim. Yeah. Are you going to be at the endorsement interview next week?
I will not. But I will show up, but I won't be on the panel.
Jim, make sure you sniper him as his
All right.
Okay.
I'm a combat instructor, remember that.
Thanks.
I'll keep that in
What,
mind.
what, you bounce bullets off your bike? Thanks, Bruno. Then we got Frank Ventura. Frank
Ventura served in the United States Marine Corps, URA, during the Gulf War campaign in the Philippine insurrection, and I'm the CEO of ACF Appointment Setting Firm.
And Frank, are you going to be at the endorsement interview next week?
Yes, I will.
Beautiful. All right, folks, we're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to come back. Thank you guys for coming in studio, and we're going to come back with Chris Rasmussen, candidate for Clark County District Court, Department 20.
Veterans in Politics takes a proactive approach to provide you, the veteran, with the political voice for which you fought and served.
Veterans in Politics is becoming the premier veteran organization of the 21st century, with political candidate interviews, insight, and endorsements.
Public speaking engagements in support of American values.
Radio shows to keep you updated on the latest in veteran and military support operations.
Providing job placement and business support.
Go to veteransinpolitics.com today and do your part in defending liberty.
Hello, Las Vegas. I'm Karen Steelman, president of Las Vegas Tea Party, bringing your voice to the air Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Are you tired of politics as usual? Do you want to be more involved? Do you want to put a stop to out-of-control government policies? On We the People, we will discuss the political topics of the day and find real solutions. No parties, no labels, just Americans. Be here Wednesdays at 7 p.m. with We the People, where your voice is heard.
This is Sweet Cheeks with the Curvaceous Bounty of Sin City. In this election year, knowledge is power. Know the issues, know the candidates, and remember to vote. Your vote is your voice. And besides, you get a really cool sticker.
All right, we are back. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jones with Veterans in Politics. We have live in studio Chris Rasmussen, candidate for Clark County District Court, Department 20. Chris, did I pronounce that correctly?
Chris Rasmussen.
Musson, okay.
Musson.
Because I was going to ask you if that was any relation to that polling. Rasmussen polling?
Oh, yeah.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Chris, first I wanted to express my condolences. You had a situation, death in the family.
Yeah, my grandfather was 92. He passed away. I went out to his funeral in Kansas. He was actually a veteran. He flew the hump in World War II. He was an Army pilot. Okay. Good guy.
Okay. Could you give us a bio about yourself, Chris?
Well, I grew up here in Las Vegas. I grew up in the Hacienda and Spencer neighborhood. I went through the public school system. I went through Valley High School. I graduated from UNLV. And then I went off to law school at Gonzaga University. My father was a professor at UNLV for a long period of time, over 30 years, and my mother was a nurse at Sunrise Hospital. I'm married. I have two children, a 5-year-old girl and a 2-year-old boy. I practice mainly a split 50-50 between criminal defense and personal injury. I've been in my own office for 10 years. That's about it.
What type of law do you practice?
I practice 50% criminal defense and 50% personal injury.
You know, this is what I always ask. I always ask challengers this question. Why are you running against the incumbent?
Well, the trial court system is the cornerstone of the American justice system. The trial courts are the envy of the world. Our trial courts in America really are the backbone of our country. Other countries send their representatives to our courts to see how we do it. And I think that I have a lot of experience in both areas of criminal and civil to bring to the trial courts. I've done everything you can do as a lawyer, criminal offense, personal injury type cases, and I think I'm ready to sit on the bench and help work the system.
Why Department 20?
Department 20...
is it because he's appointed?
Well, I think that's part of it. I do believe in the electoral process that we have here in Nevada. So I went in when I looked at the races. I said I wanted to be part of the district court. I would pick a race where somebody who wasn't already elected.
Why do you believe so strongly that judges should be elected? When you look at the turnout for judge elections, usually it's about 1 in every 6 registered voters. So isn't that just 1/6 of the voting public actually having a say in electing judges?
Nevada is a different kind of state. We elect our judges here. We'll always elect our judges here. Now with the media and people like you with your program, people can get informed about who's who with regards to the judge races that we have. I just think that the people should have a choice. I know with the sheriff, and a lot of people are upset with the sheriff currently, and there's an election. People can remove him. And I just think that's the way this state's always done it. I like that system. I think the appointed system brings too much politics, and I just don't think it's a better system.
You know, since you brought up the sheriff, Chris, and I like when people just open up doors for me, what do you think about the coroner's inquest process?
Well, right now there is no process. So if you're talking about the previous process, there was obviously some problems with it, and that's why we don't have a process now, and they're trying to figure out a better system.
Do you like the part that the Clark County Board of Commissioners decided to put in the ombudsman? I believe it's former District Court Judge David Wall in that.
I don't know enough about it. I mean, I think we have to see the system work before we can analyze it. I know I actually got to participate with the PPA and go to a shooting here in Las Vegas, and I got to see how they conduct their investigation. The Metropolitan Police Department, they actually do a really good job gathering evidence with the crime scene and interviewing the officers, and I think that part of the system runs properly. But I think the public wants some more transparency with regard to the actual facts involved with the shootings.
Do you think a Metropolitan Police officer should investigate their own fellow officers? And I'll even go one step further. Do you think the district attorney should investigate police shootings when district attorneys and the Metro Police are practically on the same team, because you have the district attorney that prosecutes the accused and the police that actually does the arrest, which is part of the same formula?
The district attorney's office here in Las Vegas isn't set up to investigate police shootings. I don't think they have any more experience investigating police shootings than me. I know recently they sent some prosecutors out to the scene of a shooting. It just seems like they're going to be more in the way than helpful. They're not trained with crime scenes and the aspects of shootings, and so I think that we need to have a process that the public feels confident with. And I know a lot of people have pushed for another agency to investigate these shootings. But the problem is that, which agency would do that? I know in other states, they'll have a state investigative, like the Wyoming Division of Investigation. That's the state police, and they'll come and investigate local shootings. We don't have that here. So that's going to be a challenge that we're going to have to work through.
Okay, so do you think cops should investigate cops? Isn't that like the fox watching the hen house?
You mean the same department investigating the department? I think it does. I think maybe it can be done properly, but I don't think the public is going to be as confident with the results as if another agency investigated. So obviously, in a perfect world, another agency would investigate.
When you say, sorry, Jim, when you say another agency, what do you have in mind?
Well, since our state doesn't really have a state police that has an investigative branch like other larger states like Texas, that's what we got to figure out. Are we going to allow the Henderson police to investigate Metro shootings? Or are we going to allow Metro to investigate Henderson shootings? I know they're looking at different ways to do that. I think ultimately we're going to keep the same type of coroner's inquest with a little more transparency, and probably let the victims' families ask some questions like we've seen in the past. I think that's all we're going to get.
I'm just spellbound by the one particular shooting is the Trevone Cole shooting. Are you familiar with that?
You're talking about Detective Yant?
All right. Detective Yant first falsified a search warrant. Second, falsified a police report. Third, his own officers contradict his statements in the coroner's inquest. And then the medical examiner's report contradicts his statement. Goes to a coroner's inquest, found justifiable, found legally wrong in a federal wrongful death lawsuit. The awarded $1.7 million to the family of Trevon Cole, but yet this particular detective is still allowed to be paid, one, and still allowed to be carried a gun, two. Do you think there's a problem with that?
Well, I think people like you are going to shed some light on this, and obviously I know with the Henderson chief of police just resigning recently, it's going to put more pressure on Sheriff Gillespie to take action and maybe relook at some of these cases like Jansen. I think it's hard for me to really examine it because I haven't seen the official documents. Unless I read the actual investigative file regarding the Jansen shooting, I don't. All I know is what's in the newspaper, and I know a lot of times that has a lot of speculative information. So I wouldn't be able to comment specifically on Yant, but I think Sheriff Gillespie is going to have some trouble because a lot of people like your organization and other people around town are starting to say, wait a minute, we have a problem. This is starting to become a pattern here in our community with police incidents with shootings. So I think it's going to come to a head here in the next year, and something's going to happen.
Could you explain to the listeners exactly what the duties a district court judge does?
Well, they oversee the trials, both civil and criminal. The Department 20 is a 50-50 split between civil and criminal, and they're the trial court judge. They make rules regarding evidentiary issues during a trial. They sentence criminal defendants. They handle all the court aspects of any case that happens in Clark County, and civil cases that have a value in excess of $10,000.
Are you familiar with Veterans Court?
I am somewhat familiar with it.
Okay. Do you know that there's not an active Veterans Court within District Court?
I do know that. I think the problem with the Veterans Court, unlike the other specialty courts, we have a DUI court and a drug court, and those courts actually do...
In District Court.
In District Court. They do really well, and the recidivism rate is much lower in those courts, and the reason why, I think, is because those courts allow for a carrot at the end of the prosecution. People can plead guilty, complete the program, whether it be DUI or drug court, and if they complete it successfully, they can have their charges either reduced or dismissed. In Veterans Court, my understanding, the way it's working, is they're not really offering that carrot. They'll do some evaluations, they'll send some people to counseling, but they don't give people an incentive to enter those programs and successfully complete them, and that's where I think the problem, at least with the district court, is they need a more organized setup.
Do you know that when the law was passed in 2009, signed into law by then Governor Gibbons, do you know that every judge shall ask a defendant if they're a veteran, and that once a veteran is in the Veterans Court system and completes the treatment of whatever program that judge put that veteran on, do you know that the case is supposed to be dismissed and sealed? Did you know that?
I did not know that.
And you know one thing that really pisses me off, Chris, is how we could have specialty courts for, like you mentioned, drugs and alcohol, but we can't have a specialty court for the men and women that died for this country, that bled for this country, that actually give these elected officials and these bureaucrats out there the right to say this or say that, but yet we can't have a court for them? And that's a bunch of bullshit.
I actually agree 100% with you. I think if you can demonstrate that somebody's conduct is a result of their service, we should give them the benefit and allow them to enter a program where they can keep their charges clear and stay away from the jail. I think part of the problem is the district attorneys. It's kind of new. They're not aware of the system, and I think through education they'll get better at utilizing that court system.
Okay.
Do you have anything for Chris?
No, I don't have any more questions for Chris. We're running a little short on time. Maybe at a later date I'd ask him a few more questions, but really appreciate you coming in, though.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Chris, could you give us your point of contact?
My website is rasmussen2012.com. My office number is 464-6007, and my cell phone that I keep with me is 807-6231. So if anybody has any questions regarding my issues, I would be more than happy to answer them.
All right, thank you so much for coming to the program, Chris. That's Chris Rasmussen, who is a candidate for Clark County District Court Department 20. Don't go away, folks. We still have Robert Kurth, candidate for Las Vegas Township Justice of the Peace Department 5.
This is Jim Jonas asking you to listen to Veterans in Politics, Veterans in Politics is a weekly broadcast internet talk show hosted by myself, Jim Jonas, and Steve Sanson, president of Veterans in Politics Incorporated, that airs every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. at www.vegasallnetradio.com. Veterans in Politics' sole purpose is to teach, educate, and inform veterans on issues and the candidates that will affect them. Too many politicians say they support veterans and their issues, but their actions tell a different story. Here at Veterans in Politics, we will expose these politicians by giving them a chance to come in and explain their actions to veterans so veterans can truly make informed decisions. Listen every Saturday to stay informed and to hold politicians accountable for their votes.
Well, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas with Veterans in Politics. Jim, we're just running right through these folks like an assembly line, aren't we? We have Robert Kurth, candidate for Las Vegas Township Justice of the Peace Department. Robert, thank you for showing up.
Thank you for having me, Steve and Jim. I appreciate it.
Robert, could you give us a little bio about yourself?
Well, I've been practicing law here. I'm in my 20th year of practicing law here in Nevada. I grew up here in Las Vegas, been here for the last 42 years. I did my elementary school, graduated from El Dorado High School, went on to BYU on an academic scholarship, came back after a year, finished my education at UNLV, graduated there in '89, went on to law school at the University of Denver College of Law in Denver, Colorado, finished, came back. During that time, my third child was born just within a couple months after I got out of law school, and have 4 kids, 3 in college, 1 married, 1 13-year-old still that plays competitive club softball. I've been involved in scouting as an assistant scoutmaster. I'm currently a Webelos leader. I've coached soccer for about 15 years throughout the valley. I try to be involved in the community. Was the president of the Sagebrush Youth Soccer League at one time. Started on the committee when they first formed the Trial by Peers Committee in this town, which was a great program. Did that for a number of years. And have a general practice of law, which I've been doing since 1992, in my own business since 1996.
Robert, how many times you ran for judge now?
I'm not, I don't know. I'll have to think about that one.
So why are you running against a 26-year incumbent?
Well, that's exactly why I'm running, because he's a 26-year incumbent, and I don't think it's it can be an appointed position, but it's an elected position. I'm not sure. We've seen some elected officials recently not finish out their terms, allow for an appointment process to occur, which I think, could very well happen in this instance because it's a 6-year term.
So basically, what do you think could happen with the incumbent not finishing out his term?
Well, he could very well finish out his term. But I think with everything considered, that I would guess that he probably wouldn't finish out his term when he gets to that time. For instance, I believe you have your full retirement after 22 years of being in the judiciary, and he's been there for 26 years.
So what do you think is going to happen to him?
Well, I think that he'd probably retire, and the county commission would appoint somebody to replace him.
Okay. So basically you're running against him because you feel that the voters need to elect someone that's going to make it through the 6-year process.
Yes, I do. Somebody that they know that they're going to elect, that's going to be there in the end, and if they want to retain that person, is going to be there and give them another 6 years. But I don't think it should be a lifetime position.
So there's nothing he did or didn't do?
Well, there's nothing particular. I mean, he's a good guy. He's been a good judge for a long time. I believe if you look at the ratings from the polling, that they've consistently went down the last 4 to 6 years during this last term. I think they're at 73%.
That's correct, 73%. Have you appeared before the judge before?
I have.
Okay. And how do you see him as far as a judiciary?
I mean, temperament-wise,
Yeah.
He's always been fair with me. I think that...
Not anymore. Just messing with you.
It depends on the day. Sometimes you go into court and on a particular day, and somebody could be a little bit more, curt or short, or it just depends on the day.
Well, what kind of qualifications do you have to basically take over?
Well, I've been practicing law here. I'm in my 20th year of doing that. Okay. I've during that time, I've ran my own practice, which I've been on my own exactly, not with others, or I've been managing others that have worked for me since 1996. And I think when you're a judge, you need to manage your courtroom, and you need to manage the people that are there, and you need to be able to work well with others, the marshals in the system, the officers that come in. I've represented people from all different races, backgrounds, ethnicities, income levels, and grew up here in the Las Vegas Valley, and I understand what they're going through, and I believe that I can bring that sense of fairness and demeanor and integrity to the court.
So what would happen to your practice if you were so elected?
I would close down my practice, get somebody to take it over if they could, but I couldn't still practice.
Do you have employees there?
I do right now.
Would they lose their jobs?
Well, we've slimmed down, so I would have to be able to take my legal assistant with me.
Okay. And that's the only one that you have?
I have a couple other ones, but no, I don't. They would be one's part-time, and my wife also works with me.
So what does Robert Kurth bring to the bench, besides the 26 or 20 years in practice?
I bring to the bench somebody that's going to be fair, somebody that's going to be tough on crime, somebody that's going to enforce the Constitution, not legislate from the bench, be more of a strict constructionist, somebody that understands what people go through and has represented these, like for instance, somebody that gets a ticket for a couple $100, they forget about it, they miss a day, they miss a payment, it goes into warrant, they end up owing $1,000 or going to jail, or somebody that understands what's going on, and how these people are trying to make it, so I can bring that sense of fairness.
Robert, there was a question that I wanted to ask you, but it's teeter-totter in my brain. I don't know exactly how to put it into words, but Veterans Court. What is your personal knowledge of Veterans Court, and how would you implement that within your courtroom, or how would you deal with veterans that show up before you?
I think there needs to be some. I've seen some judges ask the person when they come up for sentencing, and that's kind of late in the process. Right. It needs to be done in the beginning of the process, in the initial stages, because the whole purpose of it in going through the statutes.
Let me stop you right there.
Okay.
I was told that it was on the intake forms. That's not true?
Well, I haven't. I've never. Not one of my clients have I ever been prevented as a private attorney some type of intake form to fill out, nor have I ever had somebody ask me if my client was a veteran.
So what would you do, Robert?
I would have some type of intake form like that, especially if it's not. I haven't seen it, but I think that should be presented to everyone at the initial appearance. When they get their complaint, you should give them that intake form so they can put on it right there and give it back to the district attorney's office so they know. Because part of it is that negotiation process, because it's my understanding from reviewing the statutes that if they qualify, if it's not a crime that involves the use or threatened use of force or violence upon someone else, and they qualify, they can go through the program, go through the treatment, and they can have their case sealed at the end automatically.
Right. What do you think about your personal opinion now? What do you think about the ongoing police shootings, the district attorney taking a job with an organization that he was investigating? What do you think about all that, in your personal opinion?
I think we all have our rights, our free will, our free agency to make those decisions as how we want to proceed. I think the police do a tough job. I mean, a difficult job when they have to approach the car, they have to approach situations, they don't know how somebody's going to react. But we also need to have the protections in the system, that are protected, given us our protections in the Constitution, our right from unlawful search and seizure. And those need to be upheld, because if you don't uphold those, they'll just get trampled upon, and then we don't know where we'll be.
All right, let me be specific. How about an unarmed man in a vehicle that's pinned and getting shot in the back of the head with a military-style machine gun?
I think that's a tragedy.
Okay. Jim?
Other than what is your specific? I always ask this. Just we don't have much time, but what's your campaign strategy to win this race? I mean, what are you going to do as far as raising money and doing outreach into the community to reach the voters?
Well, if everybody would like to send $20 to me, they can go to my Facebook page, Kurth, Kurth, for Judge, or www.robertkurth.com, or give me a call. That would help. And we're trying to get out there and beat the streets, really, get the word out to the public, because they don't know these people when they go to vote for judge. They just see a name a lot of times, and a lot of times they don't even check a name because they don't know.
Right. That's true. Anything else you want to tell the listeners?
Just that I appreciate them. I appreciate all the veterans. I've both my grandfathers served in the military, one in the Navy, one in the United States Army. I've had a cousin in the Air Force and cousins in the uncles in the Navy, and I appreciate all that they do, and I appreciate the general public, and just want them to know that they could put their confidence in me. I've sat as an arbitrator for the last 10 years as part of the district court program, and have sat as a pro tem child support hearing master and a small claims court judge in the past, and I'll bring that experience and integrity to rendering decisions that are fair and just.
Do you have a point of contact, Robert?
Yes. They can call my office at 702-438-5810, Facebook, Kurth, Kurth, for Judge, or www.robertkurth.com.
Thank you. That's Robert Kurth, who's a candidate for Las Vegas Township, Justice of the Peace, Department 5. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jones for Veterans in Politics. Jim?
Next week, our guest will be Kenneth Wagner. He's a Republican congressional candidate for Nevada's 4th District.
And, folks, that doesn't mean that do not go to the Leatherneck Club, because go down to the Leatherneck Club and watch these judicial candidates answer the tough questions from the Veterans in Politics between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. at 4360 West Spring Mountain Road. That's northeast corner of Spring Mountain and Arville, right next to the American Shooters. Come on down and know exactly who you're voting for. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jones for Veterans in Politics. Until next week.
And I'm proud to be an American.